I'm a real movie buff. I enjoy great movies. One of my favorite movies is The Matrix. How many people here have seen The Matrix? Yeah. Great, great movie. The scene that I love the most is the scene where Neo and Morpheus are sitting in a room, and Morpheus is sitting looking great in that big chair, and he tells Neo, this is your last chance. After this, there's no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed, and you can be whatever you want to be. You take the red pill, and you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. People who are looking for purpose always take the red pill because they want to go down that rabbit hole. They're in search for something. Now, I have a problem with people who are always saying, what's my purpose? I don't know what my purpose is. What's my purpose? What's my purpose? My theory is, and the book is written on the premise, that most people already know their purpose. Most people are not willing to put the time and the work in to cultivate the purpose that they know is there. There are over 50,000 titles alone on Amazon on purpose. And they all do the same thing. They all ask you the same questions. They ask you those poignant questions because they know that you know what your purpose is. What did you like to do when you were young? What is it that you'll do without getting paid? What is it that you constantly find yourself doing? Those questions elicit a response of what your purpose is. Now I was asked recently in an interview, well, what does destiny have to do with purpose? Destiny is the destination. Purpose is the process that will get you there. Most people don't want to go through the process. So when you hear people ask, well, what's my purpose? Really what they're saying is, can you, as a total stranger, tell me what my purpose is? The answer is no. Your purpose has been locked inside of you. And it takes self-examination. It's going to take a lot of thought processes. It's going to take you maybe even thinking back about some of the things that you've gone through in life that were not very pleasant experiences to find out why you think the way that you do. So step one is renew your mind. And in step one, oh, and let me tell you, this is a faith-based book. It's got a lot of Bible scriptures in there, a lot of Bible stories. So, of course, today I start with a story from The Matrix, which is kind of funny, but in Renew Your Mind, the scripture is, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. We like to sometimes do self-improvement things, and you hear people talk about the universe. I subscribe to a higher order. I'm like Hebrew National. We have to listen to a higher order. So I like to put the foundation of my works based on a book that's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years that knows a lot more than I do about things. When you renew your mind, as I was saying before, you're going to go through that process of finding out, who am I really? And why am I here? But 9 times out of 10, you're telling yourself stories that others told you. This book is also based in maybe in some finance, because it's my goal to educate a certain group of people that they will become more financially stable. As we look at the world and the economy, it's the years of the entrepreneur is what I'm calling everything. So how many entrepreneurs in the room? How many employees? How many unemployed? Okay. I heard this joke the other day, and I feel kind of funny because there are comedians in the room, so you guys tell me how well I do. This guy comes into his boss's office, he steps in and he says, I need a raise and I need a promotion. I come in early and I work late. You always give me accommodations. You tell me that I do a great job. I need a raise and I need a promotion. The boss looks and he says, well, you know, we didn't do good this quarter. and things aren't like they used to be. So I'm sorry, I can't help you out with that. And the guy says, well, you know, I really need a raise and I need a promotion because I've got 4 companies after me. I've got 4 companies after me. I need a raise and I need a promotion. And so he starts to walk out the door. So the boss says, wait 1 minute, wait 1 minute. You know, okay, I tell you what, we'll give you the raise and we'll give you the promotion. And the guy says, really? You will? That's wonderful. Thank you. And he walks out the door. And the boss says, wait, before you leave. I just want to ask you one question. Who's those 4 companies after you? He says, oh, the mortgage company, the gas company. How they do? Day and age where we must all renew our minds. If you think back, some of you are older in the room, I'm a baby boomer, I'm a proud baby boomer. If you think back, my grandparents worked on the same job for years. Nobody changed jobs. I mean, you were expected to work that job, retire from that job, and everything was sweet. Yeah. Now, you'll be lucky if you keep the same job for 2 to 3 years. Kids are going to college, adults are going to college. Going to college is not a guarantee that you're going to have a job. So it is definitely the age of the entrepreneur. It's the time where you not only have a job, it's the time that you create your job. Now you heard Andrew give that wonderful introduction. Thank you. But there's a story behind the story. I'm on my 3rd career. I started out, I was a licensed beautician from high school. And I started out doing hair. Well, I was a misguided teenager. You know how we get, we know everything. Yeah. So of course, what my grandparents were saying to me was, they couldn't possibly be right. So I took some turns. Fortunately, I had a wonderful career doing hair. I worked for that for about 13 years. And as you heard from Randolph, that I was on welfare. Well, you know, people don't know you can work and be on welfare. You can work and be on welfare. So what I had was income subsidized by the state. I had 2 children, and then suddenly I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. So I got involved with a program. Now, I had a wonderful time doing hair, and tell you how far back this goes. Remember when people used to wear like afros, like serious afros? I happened to work for a company called Soul Scissors. Started out on the West Coast, moved across to the East Coast. First black hair care specialist was in Soul Scissors. So, you know, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful career, but I was young. What did I know? I moved out of that career as a grown person. I returned to college. Well, I should say I went to college because I never had any idea that I wanted to go to college. I could have, just didn't want to. So I went to college as an adult with 2 children, and I got a degree. But before I got a degree, I ended up working in the financial services industry. Little did I know that when I got that job in the financial services industry, I was going to be working with people who were icons in the business. I worked with a guy named Bob Landau. He wrote the book on corporate trust, and he co-authored the book with Joe Kennedy. You know Joe Kennedy? That's the Kennedys. John Fitzgerald, his father. Okay, he co-authored that book. So going into that career, I was in that career for 17 years. We're talking about purpose and destiny. I thought I had hit purpose, I had hit destiny. I went from a securities clerk to a vice president, certified corporate trust specialist. You couldn't tell me I didn't know what I was doing because I was certified that I was a specialist. I knew what I was doing. The thing is that you run into people when you get at that level who don't want you to be at that level. Because the only other job that you can occupy is theirs. So through a long, tedious, tumultuous and not a really good event. I ended up, well, what they call forced resignation. Some people say fired. Forced resignation. That's when you resign, but you really didn't want to. Yeah. Okay? When life is showing you purpose, every event that comes your way may not be a fun event. Sometimes it may be something that needs to move you, because if it doesn't move you, you would never move. Now I'm in my third career. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I do a radio show every week. I'm having a blast. And I love social media. I am a savvy social media strategist. And that's not an easy thing when you're a baby boomer. Have you seen the commercial with the lady with the pictures on the wall?
Yeah, I love that.
I'm posting it on the wall. That's not how you do that. I love it. Absolutely. So this book has 7 steps, and I know you're probably saying, what are those steps? The first one is to renew your mind. The second one is to maintain your focus. Because there are things that will get you off focus. And when you have a goal or end in mind, you don't get off focus. Now, you don't want to get tunnel vision, where you don't see the periphery of things going on around you, but you have to stay focused. There are distractions that will come your way, like that boyfriend that you haven't talked to in 10 years because he was away. Now he found your number. Now he's calling you. And you're trying to hide out because you're doing bigger and greater things now. There are family issues. People need money. Who talked about Ray Ray? Somebody talked about Ray Ray. Ray Ray needs to sleep on your sofa now. Okay? You always need to help your family and do different things. But it's hard when you're trying to maintain your focus. You want everybody to jump on board with you because you're doing something new now. And you don't really know what you're doing. You're just trying to get through to the next level. And there are new things that you have to do, but you're not really sure what to do next. So you call your mom and you say, Mom. And she said, you crazy. You need to go back and get that job. Because some people can't see it for you, because they can't see it for themselves. So you have to maintain your focus. And then you have to stop making excuses. Because we lie to ourselves. I can't do that. I remember the first time I was working, I was sitting at a desk, I was a securities clerk, and I was reading the back of a bond. And as I read the back of the bond, I realized that the trust indenture, which is the ruling document on that, read the same as the back of the bond. And that I had to take the information off the back of the bond and put it into this, like a template, just a typed out fill in the blanks, and give it to the administrator, who was getting paid a lot more money than I was, so that these bonds could be issued. And the light went off one day, and I looked at the back of that bond, and I said, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this. They had something called job posting. This is before everybody had a PC. There was one common PC in the middle of the room, and everybody shared it. But they had a job posting, and I posted for the job, and I got the job. Talking about purpose, talking about destiny. The people I worked with as securities clerk told me, you can't do that. Nobody crosses over from operations to administration. It doesn't happen. It happened for me. And when I got there, the lady that hired me got another job at a bank across the street and was only there for about a month. But in that month's time, I learned her job. And while they looked for someone else to fill her job, I did her job. But when time came for promotion, I was overlooked. Did I get disgruntled? No. Because I knew, okay, time for me to move on. You're talking about New York City in the 80s. You could go out on your lunch hour and get, which I have done, get another job with a $10,000 raise. Just go across the street, they're hiring. Things have changed. It doesn't happen anymore. There was a time when banks didn't lay off people. Those were the jobs that were secure.
Yeah.
No such thing. So you have to stop making excuses. We tell ourselves, here's an interesting thing. We tell ourselves that we can't do certain things. But the reality is that your imagination cannot tell the difference. Your brain and your imagination cannot tell the difference between reality and imagination. So if you're going to make excuses and lie to yourself, tell yourself that you're great. Tell yourself that you're fantastic. Nobody is like me. I've got this. Because you tell yourself all the time, oh, I'm not going to have enough to pay that bill next month. You don't know that. That's 30 days away. It's so simple, some of the things that we say to ourselves. Here's something else. Sometimes we live in a world that others have created for us. Sometimes we're still hearing our mom's voice or our dad's voice telling us, just go to school, get an education. It's not about the dream. I watched a little kid dance tonight. Oh my God, he's a dancer.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't miss a beat. He didn't miss a beat. So stop making excuses and stop avoiding change. Change is happening around you all the time, whether you realize it or not. Change is happening. The only constant in life is change. So make the change for the better. When you renew your mind and stop making excuses, and then stop being afraid of change. Tell the status quo, I'm not living in the status quo. Because you want me in the box and I want to be outside the box. Because everything that I want really is outside the box. There's a story of a lady and a daughter, and they're in the kitchen and they're cooking this Christmas ham. And the mom, the daughter asked the mom, Mom, you always cut the ends of the ham off. Why do you always cut the ends of the ham off? To bake it for Christmas. And the mom says, you know, I really don't know. My mom always cut the ends off, so I cut the end off. Let me call her. So she called her and she said, well, Mom, I'm cooking the ham and I'm cutting the ends off. And why do we cut the ends off? She said, I don't know why you cut the ends off, but I cut the ends off because my pan was too small. Sometimes we have traditions. We have no idea why we have the traditions that we have. So we need to examine things that we do in our lives and change useless habits. Become dedicated. This is step 6. Become dedicated to your dream and your vision. You know that saying, don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. You have to become dedicated. It's going to take a lot of courage. A lot of courage. There's a story of a Native American lad. He's a young man. And he's really going through some tumultuous things in his life. And so he goes to the wise old chief. And he says, I have 2 dogs warring within me. One is fear and one is faith. And I'm so afraid that eventually that fear, the dog fear, is going to win forever. Which one is going to win? And the wise chief looks at him and says, the one that you feed the most. There's a minister here in Atlanta, I don't know his name, but he always comes on and he says, feed your faith and starve your fears to death. What are you meditating on? What are you watching? Are you watching 2 and 3 hours of reality TV that is not doing anything for you? What are you tuned into? Are you reading things that will take you to the level that you want to go to? You know, YouTube is a wonderful, wonderful invention. But what are you watching on YouTube? There's some wonderful stuff on YouTube. I'm always amazed about how I get so inspired by watching some of the presentations on YouTube. So you have to become dedicated to your dream and your vision. You have to ignore that fight or flight response that's innate in every human being. You have to tell fear, not today, not today, and go with your faith and build yourself up. Step 7, start right where you are. When you start right where you are, you don't have to have anything but an idea. An idea whose time has come. Look at the inventor of the paperclip. And God, who remembers pet rocks?
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Right.
A rock with a face painted on it. People bought it.
Yep.
It's marketing. Marketing. All you need is an idea. You know the funny thing? There's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When you're ready to stop lying to yourself on the negative side, you're going to lie. Say something good. Your brain can't distinguish between the two. When you're ready to stop doing that, things will start happening. It's amazing. Things will start happening. I joined Toastmasters. Oh, I have to tell you, I'm in my 3rd career. I do all of this wonderful things, and I have a job. Isn't that great? And I happen to work for some very wonderful people, and they were starting a Toastmasters club, so I said, well, let me get involved with that. It's the brand new Toastmasters club. I mean, this thing came on and caught on like wildfire. And I've already told you about how I started out with Soul Scissors, and I worked with some of the people at the very top of black hair care. Then I went to the bank, and I literally worked at the bank where the guy who wrote the book on the deal he was the head of it at that time. I'm in my 3rd career. I miss my 2nd career sometime because there's nothing like closing a $200 million bond deal. Absolutely nothing like it. And I've had that experience. I've had the experience where I was only African American in the room, and when I walked in with my briefcase, Depository Trust Company on the phone said, "Is the trustee in the room?" And I said, "I'm here." Because before that $200 million had to hit the street, I had to sign it so that it was real. So now what I do for me. Because at the end of the day, that $200 million was a lot of money, but I didn't get any of it. I got my regular salary, which was not a drop in the bucket, but I'm saying, you know. So when you start right where you are, things just start happening. It's amazing. What God is waiting for you is to make up your mind. You're waiting for Him. He's waiting for you. And some of you may not believe my theology, but that's okay. Because even though you don't believe in Him, He believes in you. And when you start moving in the direction of your destiny and your purpose, things will start happening. I did a talk recently, and I gave them 3 points. You have to see others who believe in you. That was point number 1. Number 2 was, you must believe in yourself. You must believe in yourself. And then that 3rd and final point was, you have to act on what you believe. Now, I don't know what the cards are. I don't know if I'm on the red, the green, the whatever. I think my time is up. Is my time up? It's all right. As we began, we started with movies. Neo took the red pill. He went down the rabbit hole. But there's another statement that Morpheus makes to Neo during the course of the movie. He says, "I'm trying to free your mind. I can lead you to the door, but you have to go through." Thank you.